Good morning, and welcome to Build Theory, the I've Got a Headache edition. This is Aurian Archive. Last night, I got a request from a player to make a Dark Storm build for a Corruptor. Well, let's up to it. I've already got a Dark Corruptor build for a Dark Cold Domination. Now, I already know off the top of my head that almost none of the slotting is going to work going from cold domination to storm. They're both water oriented, cold oriented, ice oriented power, but they don't share almost anything in the enhancement slots. However, I've already got a pretty good handle on what enhancements go into a dark set. So by starting with the dark cold and then swapping in storm, I should be able to see what my dark blast set is going to look like, even if I ultimately am changing most of the enhancements that were in the cold domination set. And we will do it. Alright, so that's not actually showing. Okay, good to know. I didn't remember it showing, but we'll bring back up the primary, the starting build, and then we will swap to storm summoning. And surprisingly, we didn't actually lose. Actually, I'm incredibly surprised. We really didn't lose much in the way of anything in the slotting. I'm actually kind of shocked. Okay, so you ever have that brief moment of realizing you've forgotten a buff set? Oh wait, the reason I remember why I passed it over because Steamy Mist does plus Team Stealth, so it wasn't. I'm sorry, I'm heading crashing straight into partial theory or something I've been talking about on hybrid theory. Okay, so what we're going to do real quickly then is we looks like we've lost our preventative medicine 6 slot set. We've lost some luck of the gamblers and some procs, which we should be able to move over to Steamy Mist. And we've lost a in Sleet. One for Tornado, we've lost a resistance causing proc, but we can be prats about this and go grab the sudden acceleration or the overwhelming force. We'll do sudden acceleration. And oh, why is it not letting me move? Mika slots don't move like that. All right, so surprisingly, we also kept our uh, endurance modification on Lightning Storm. And because these new endurance modification set does damage, we've actually not lost anything. So hey, that's nice to see. I am going to swap this entire end mod set for another another Synapse of Shock with damage to bring their damage up a little bit. Tornado is probably fine. I had this at a 4 pump for the accuracy boost and the 3 pump recharge time. If we can fit in a 3 pump, well, actually, I don't think there's anything on here that we really need the extra recharge time for, so we'll kind of leave that as is. We'll take down our slots from Hurricane for right now. Actually, we'll take our slots from Gale instead, and we'll bump Hurricane back out because I think Hurricane will take both a knock set and a dark debuff set, so we'll leave. Let's avoid the errors. We'll go ahead and move our preventative medicine set to O2 boost. Alright. Our next step will be to slot out. Now, we know that Hurricane will take a dark set debuff, so we'd kind of like to keep Hurricane maybe at a few slots. Let's see what we run into. And we also lost a full slow set for the ranged defense, but Infrigidae didn't give us a damage component. We can pick up artillery, and artillery will give us another strong ranged defense. But until we get to that point, we'll let's go ahead and slot out Steamy Mist. And alright, and we'll slot out Steamy Mist like we did Arctic Fog. So defense endurance recharge. We do get the resist defense proc. I'm torn between the regeneration and status resistance and the HP buff, but we'll deal with the HP buff later. Alright. Do I have any? Yeah, I've got one in tough. And, okay. Gale, we're real quickly going to give a single slot, and we're just going to give Gale a sudden acceleration, because we can't get rid of it. It doesn't really do any damage. All it does is push enemies away. Now, if you're wondering, well, why is that a problem? Isn't it good always to have a power that can just shove enemies away? Maybe. It's I ran a storm for years, and Gale is a dump power. It's basically the quickest one you get rid of. It doesn't really add anything to your character. The only time I ever actually used Gale was when I got to level 50. I went back to the Hollows, and I spent a couple of hours just flinging trolls into the riverbed. I mean, it was fun, but yeah, not a whole lot more I can say about that. Alright. Taking a look at what are we looking at for defensively? Okay, the first build we were at 47, 47, 50. We weren't quite at a negative soft cap, and we were into ranged. So our totals for here, we're at 48, 48. We're at energy. We're just a little bit away from ranged soft cap. So if I put in the artillery, we're definitely into soft cap. And I don't even really have to go deep. I think I'd be into soft cap even if I just went, and I don't even really have to go deep. I think I'd be into soft cap even if I just went, with overwhelming force and 5 slot there. I would be into 45% soft cap. And maybe I could pick up another Achilles heel. What would that look like? And alright, 5 slot. And we are into defensive soft cap. Am I getting there? Okay, I'm still getting there with agility. And I'm way far away. Let's actually check this with artillery instead. Alright, I'm not quite into defensive soft caps outside of agility. But probably be running agility or Vigor anyways. So because of the endurance drain. Okay, so toss on agility and we're there. Alright, what to do about Hurricane? Oh, since we're in range, and we now have... Can I take a different travel power? Alright, I'm still kind of stuck between super jump and... Because of her, I need leadership. I mean, I could drop tactics uh, and pick up some slots there, but I still need maneuvers for defense. Combat jumping, kind of needed for defense. Also giving in immobilize. What did that look like with combat jumping on? Oh, I'm in the range soft cap with combat jumping on. Good to know. Didn't realize combat jumping had gotten turned off. And then I realized you can't actually see the bonuses because of the layering of the windows. So we will shift that down so you can see the bonuses. That would be helpful, I think, since we've already made the bulk of our transition over. You can also see in Kick that I still had a blistering cold from an earlier build. Probably just want to change that to knockback to knockdown or to a chance for recharge. Not that you're ever going to be using Kick as a recharge proc, but it never hurts to take options. Yeah, it never hurts to put more options on the table. Or it never hurts to take more options and put them up your enemy's backside. Okay, so where are we at now? We've got Lightning Storm, which theoretically is giving us a chance to heal every time it strikes something. Our Tornado now has some decent damage, comes back on a really recharged timer and puts enemies down on the ground and does a resist debuff at the same time. Nice. We've got weave, maneuvers. We can probably... I'm not sure why I took tactics on the original build other than it was like I was having a single, it wasn't... Dark Blast didn't bring anything, Torrent didn't bring anything, Snowstorm didn't bring anything. So I think out of the powers I had left that were available for that build. Alright, so going back to the question, I need maneuvers, I need combat jumping, I need kick, tough, weave. Do I need hasten? Do I have anything? Now, over on the cold domination, hasten is very much needed for heat loss, which has a recharge timing. You may not be able to read it. That's, I think, 360. And without hasten, we have a massive gulf in our recharge time. This dark cold is very close to perma heat loss. If I toss Ageless Incarnate on, it is into perma heat loss. Storm doesn't have anything on a long recharge timer. Let's see here. Our Black Star nuke is on a 145. Our Tornado is on a 60. Our Lightning Storm is on a 90. So those are our top three powers there. They're all on sub. They're all on sub 200-second timers. So what happens if we turn Hasten off? All right, looking at Lightning Storm goes from 24 seconds to 30 seconds. Tornado goes from 16 seconds to 20 seconds. Black Star goes from 39 seconds to 48 seconds. So we're losing between 8 to 6 seconds on the recharge. And this is, again, insert rant here, that this is the only only power in primary secondary that affects recharge so dramatically. So, developers, make more powers that give recharge. Maybe not the same way Hasten does, but it does give players options to improve the recharge time on their powers without taking the same power for every single build. Alright, so what exactly are my options right now? Well, I do know that Hurricane is primarily useful in melee circumstances. I do know there's not really any good way for me to pick up some extra recharge unless I took another power that I'm pretty sure I'm already. Let's count real quickly. I have 1, 2, 3. I could move a slot into combat jumping and pick up another 7.5 that way. I just realized Thunderclap's down here. What is it? PBOE foe disorient. I could safely drop Thunderclap on the Dark Cold. That positioning was Benumb, which was a very powerful debuff. Well, that was why I took. Can you see that on the stream? We'll move you back down. Okay. The reason why I took Tactics is that one of my most powerful debuffs, Benumb, in order to maximize its recharge time, it's almost perma. Well, as I slammed 2 recharge timers in there and didn't worry about an accuracy. So I took Tactics to make sure that Benumb was going to hit, because between Tactics and accuracy, my effective 2-hit. Well, can I look at effects? Just give me the accuracy. Oh yeah, there's my accuracy. My accuracy is at 157.9% accuracy. So without slotting any accuracy enhancements, I still got a significant amount of accuracy going into it because of Tactics and the Kismet proc. Okay, so looking back here, Thunderclap on a Corruptor, not very useful. Echo. So what can I do with this information? I mean, we can safely take a slot out of it. We could maybe. What do I have over here? I have Instant Chain for 2-hit debuff. Thunderclap. I could just go Accuracy Endurance. Just single slot it, and now we have maybe an extra slot where I could toss that HP cap boost that I took out earlier. But we're still kind of stuck back with the same problem with our pool powers, and that we have range soft cap defense. Do we really need Hasten, or is there anything if we drop Hasten in super speed? And let's look at flight powers like sorcery for a second. If we took Mystic Flight, we'd get a teleport to get us closer to enemies. We could pick up Spirit Ward to buff our teammates. And if we drop Thunderclap, we could actually take Rune of Protection. We could move our, just as a dump power, we could move our plus HP power there. Uh, and now we've got 2 slots to go, so we could either take, go ahead and quickly put a Flight Endurance there. And what else can we do here? Like 2 options are, one, buff Hurricane out and give it, we actually would need 5 slots to make that plan work, to pick up a recharge buff there. I've never actually tried this approach. And we should get a damage buff on here, so 2 hit buff endurance and 2 hit buff endurance recharge. Okay. So now our end cost is 0.4 per second. We're going to swap our scaling defense to actually look at the gambler proc. Actually, I don't have any slots left to play with. Kinda don't want to. What's that? That's giving us recovery. I'm not sure what that's going to do in play. I mean, it's sort of like, yeah, we could still drop tact. Excuse me. We could still drop tactics because we don't necessarily need it. And use those slots outward. But do we have access to any powers that give us a benefit? Alright. Do we have any access to single slot Wunda powers? And the only one I'm really coming up with is maybe Inflame. You could, I don't know if you could put Inflame on Tornado. That would be interesting. That actually would be interesting, is Inflame on Tornado. I'm not sure if that could actually work. Uh, we'll give Inflame a... And we'll give it accuracy, recharge endurance. We won't worry about the actual boosting the damage it puts out. And now we've picked up a slot. Now we'll go back to defense power, in this case combat jumping. And we'll put in our scaling resist proc. Okay, so now what do we look like? Okay, we are still into soft cap, smashing lethal, energy ranged. We have medium resist across the 45, almost 45% resist across smashing lethal energy. We have 55% resist to fire cold, and we're looking actually pretty good on toxic resist, and that's a surprisingly high amount of psionic resistance. So we've got some fairly decent resistances. We've got some, we're actually pulling down on regeneration, 14.74 HP per second, and that's without accolades. If I turn accolades on, Freedom of Phalanx, Portal Jockey, Tag for Commander, Atlas Medallion, and now I'm pulling down 17.18 HP per second on a Corruptor. I'm actually kind of tempted to, I would change the slotting on O2 Boost and Spirit Ward, because O2 Boost is a single shot anti-stun, but it's not actually an anti-mez. Uh, so that's kind of, I'm not sure if I was making this build for myself, I might change the slotting on O2 Boost and Spirit Ward. Or the thing is, Spirit Ward is a, actually, I know how we would do this. I would, since I don't need recharge as badly on this build, I would sacrifice some of the recharge in total. Alright, we'll do slots and enhancement slots, auto arrange all slots. Oh, do I have enough slots? Because our pump 5 there was a recharge time. Okay, is there anything we can casually drop? Well, if we're not planning on, the thing is, if you're using Hurricane, uh, do I have any other powers that do I have any other slots I can conveniently drop? Well, technically, yeah, I'm got this all the way on Moonbeam. And yeah, and I've got a Sting of the Manticore. I could actually swap this over to Sting of the Manticore. Oh, sorry. And that picks us up a 7.5% recharge time and some regeneration. And we're not really losing much anything else. Skip the PvP set. It's got a 7.5 enhancement recharge time and a strong range defense at pump 6, but since we're trying to free up a slot here, if we go with Sting of the Manticore, we'll get 7.5 and that range debuff early. And be very careful when you're picking Sting of the Manticore to pick every enhancement that has a damage component. because if you put the interrupt in there and you're only in a 5 slot, you you won't actually get much damage out of it. Just to, as soon as I finish this, and we'll do the pop out, which shows us, okay, our damage is in. We are into ED cap on damage. We've picked up a slot, and now we'll do slots. Oh, give me auto range all slots, and now we've got inflame, and now we can do damage recharge. Or actually, we'll damage recharge. What's our damage look like? All right, we're not quite into ED cap. We're only pushing the boost, but we've got our recharge is actually ludicrously quick, so we're gonna swap that to just raw damage. Our recharge just went to 329, and we're now into red cap on damages. Okay, so there we go. Let's go over how this is how, based on my cold dom, I would play this. Uh, First, in the gloom, we've got uh, our our our, our corruptor archetype chant for negative energy damage. Now, real quick, do we have a single target damage? This is giving us a recharge time and a massive ranged boost. Do we have anything in our later powers? And our next big single target power is far down on life drain, and we've got a different slot in there. Namely, we've got our purple slot. Okay, Gale, probably not going to use very often, but we've got it mitigated knockback to knockdown. So if you just need to put enemies on their butts for a few moments, you can do that. Okay, we've got O2 Boost, which, although it is effectively the anti-Mez and the resist stun, resist sleep, resist end drain of powers, it's a really crap heal. It, I think, is the Defender O2 boost is only as good as some of the primary heals on Mastermind sets. And if I have to explain that that's horribly broken, it's I don't want to explain that it's horribly broken, but it's horribly broken. Alright, for our travel power, we've gone with Mystic Flight. And we've gone with Mystic Flight because we have soft cap to ranged defense, so we can fly. We don't really have any melee powers, so we're probably not going to need to be getting close. Uh, Mystic Flight, and after Mystic Flight, we've gone with Moonbeam, which is our snipe. We've got a snipe set in there, so we're picking up some recharge and some ranged defense. Verifying, yes, we're still in the range soft cap. Then we've got Tenebrious Tentacles, which is our control cone and our some ranged damage. Going with the artillery set for the ranged defense. Steamy Mist, which gives us our little bit of defense. Since I have the attacked calculation on, we are seeing what this build would look like outside. If you're not being attacked and your full defense values are available, your what you would see in game would definitely be higher. And we're also picking up our procs, the resistance defense proc. We're picking up the impervious skin status resistance regeneration. So any attack that we do take with the mess component should be mitigated a little bit. And we're picking up our kismet for extra accuracy. On Spirit Ward, we've now got a toggle we can place over allies, which gives them an absorb shield. Uh, so now we've got something that we can just set on a player and kind of just like follow them around. We really don't have. Just to give you an idea of how bad O2 Boost is, and we're going to pull the slotting from Lightning Storm from just a second. And we're going to run O2 Boost out. And I'm going to put the preventative medicine set back in it. And we're going to push all these powers out to +5. Alright, so O2 Boost. Looking at it, our effects, it heals 190 HP based or 35.81% heal to target. Spirit Ward heals 6.03% out to target, but provides 4,755% absorbed to an ally, and theoretically with the Spirit Ward and proc, oh, it's picking up the hit point from the Panacea proc. It's not picking up natively, it's picking up from the Panacea proc. It's also picking up some endurance. So it's giving us an absorb shield. Now, do I have another heal? Well, I had Frostwork over here, and Frostwork healed for that gave us that tells us how much healing it added. Uh, gives us 88% heat. Doesn't actually tell me the. Oh, that's because Frostwork doesn't have a heal component. All right. Chance to heal self. What's the? All right. So doesn't actually show what I really would need a comparative side by side, but just trust me on this. O2 boost is crap. Alright, now we're making sure to take all of the damage components on Lightning Storm. And it should also have the interesting effect that it will completely obliterate enemies' ability to heal. Alright, we've got Kick, which we're probably not going to use, but if we did find ourselves in a situation to use it, we've got a chance for recharge in there. We've got Tough, which is giving us some smashing lethal resistance, some extra defense, and some knockback protection. Nightfall, which is another cone, which is giving us some more range defense. Hurricane, which we've got turned into a please everybody sit on your butt if you somehow are in melee range. There are some arc villain fights. Cough. Kuda. Khan. KHTF. STF. Wow, that's a big frog in my throat. There are some arc villain fights where Hurricane is actually really useful, or at least it has been on my storm. But my storm's a controller, so I'm sewing things together again. But that's why I went with this slotting on Hurricane. Then we've got Combat Jumping, which is hosting both a Luck of the Gambler proc for some recharge, and also our Scaling Resist damage. Then we've got Freezing Rain, which is using artillery for that ranged buff. Got Life Drain, which is our next single target attack, and it's rocking the purple for the recharge time, the damage buff, the regeneration. We've got Runa Protection. Wait, oh wow. That's why our reset values were so high. I didn't realize I had clicked Runa Protection on. Alright, so now you see what your reset values look like when you've got Runa Protection on. With it off, our reset values actually don't look so great. But just I'm sure some people go, Rune is underslotted on recharge. I'm really not a big fan of Roppel builds. Rune of Protection went under a revamp recently, but we don't really have a whole lot of powers available. I mean, you could maybe put Snowstorm in here so you have a uh, toggle uh, foe minus speed, but between Freezing Rain, uh, I've always found Snowstorm to be the uh, skippable power. And yeah, sometimes it really does pay to have an "Oh kitty litter" button just to get out of the way. Now, if saying I was running this build live, I would swap and put Runa Protection all the way down at the end of the build. Scorpion Seal, we could actually move up to 35, but I'm not sure it's as valuable as Tornado or Lightning Storm. Uh, we can move Inflame up a slot. We probably, since we're not counting on O2 boost right now, well, okay, did 1, 2, oh, we can move Moonbeam up to 2. Since we're only really using O2 boost for the preventative medicine, please here hold this. Also, while I'm thinking about it, because my because my dark cold had heat loss, I could get away with putting the chance for heal proc and stamina. But I think for a cold storm, probably going to want as much recovery as possible. So we'll change that back over to a just endurance modification. And we've got our Numina's regeneration recovery there. Okay. So going back to our powers, we've got maneuvers and weave. Combat jumping. We could move earlier. And now we're not picking up O2 boost until 22. Where's tough? Okay, tough. We can probably move tough down. Please don't crash. Please don't crash. Okay, there we go. So now we've got O2 boost is taken after Spirit Ward. You'll still have both. If you're playing back on Task Forces, you will still have Spirit Ward and O2 boost. When does Freezing Rain available? Freezing Rain is actually available earlier as 16. So we're going to put our what I'm trying to do is optimize our placement so that you will have various powers while you are running Positron Task Force. All right, in Life Drain, we've now gotten into the powers that are gotten after Positron Task Force, so I think we're pretty good there. And okay, so there we go. Going back over our nuke, impacting Armageddon. Our Tornado has a 4-slot Corruptor for the accuracy boost and gives us that recharge time. And we're picking up some maximum endurance. And we're picking up the proc for PBOE plus end. And since it's in Tornado, I'm not really sure how that's going to work. What's the procs? Do we actually have a proc description? Not really. Could I actually swap that out with anything else? Well, I don't have any other 4-slot powers. I'm not using anything else besides Hurricane that has a knockback to knockdown conversion, so no, that's not easily swapped anyplace else, and gives us both our resist debuff and our knockback to knockdown. Then we've got Lightning Storm, which is doing okay on damage. It's doing pretty good on endurance modification and gives us a chance to heal. So technically, I think every time Lightning Storm strikes, the chance to heal may be passed back to the caster. I've never actually tried this in practice, but it's an interesting theory. See how it works out. Scorpion Shield for the Smash Lethal, then Inflame, where if you could stick Inflame on Tornado, that would be hilarious. It would. And then we have Dark Pit, and then all the way down we've got our Dump and Runa Protection. So there we go. If I was making a Dark Storm, this is how I would take an existing build and then make it. So let's save it. And then move on to something else. Probably back to hybrid theory. So again, I'm Aurian Archive, and I'll catch you later.